Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we're talking about Mr. Hunter Biden's, not his laptops, but his astrology, reading, basically. So, I thought it would be a good idea since he's popping in the news with all the corruption and scandals and all kinds of crazy, shady stuff. Might as well learn as much as we can about him. So we shall see. Let me turn this off right. Okay, good. All right. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're going to check out his all his shady stuff and get right into it. So let's jump into it. All right. So yeah, and if you haven't already, go ahead and like this channel, subscribe, and share it with your friends, all that good stuff. And let's jump into it. So here is Hunter Biden's D1 birth chart. This is his main Rashi chart. And essentially, we can see that his role, his ascendant, right off the bat, is the Playboy Prince. Now, that Jupiter in the 5th house, that means that his dad is a politician, and that, he benefits from that. So, yeah. So, ninth house from the 5th house is the 1st house. So, that means that the house, that his father is basically giving him a bunch of good luck. So that's what that means, essentially. So I'm going to go through this chart one house at a time, house by house. And you can see the Brigu Bindu in Cancer in the 2nd house. We're not really going to be talking about that too much because my knowledge on that is very limited. But yeah. That's what the BB stands for, and I have it twice on my chart. Why? I don't know. But let's get into it. So, okay, well, Gemini in the 1st house. What is Gemini? Gemini is all about being very mercurial, being very impulsive, being very like I said, a Playboy Prince, essentially, is what it is. So when we have this sign here, that means that someone is going to be very, very smart. He is, let's just face it, he is smart. He uses his intellect to do some shady stuff, corruption, getting, like we saw the text message that says, or like the, text message that says, like, I'm with my father, and basically we have the ability to forever hold a grudge, things like that. It's all just an indication of how corrupt he is. So that is his ascendant. Now, it's not his ascendant that makes him corrupt. It's his ascendant that gives him the viewpoint through which he interacts with the world. So, essentially, this is his personality. This is his the way that he does things in the world. So, that's pretty much what that is. And so, essentially, 1st house is Gemini, and that is all about the intellect. It's all about communication, text messages. We can see Gemini is very much about texting. It's very much about having, conveniences, the laptop, and things like that. And yeah, so that's all I can say about Gemini. And then we have the sign of Cancer in the 4th house. So we have Cancer in the 4th house, or sorry, in the 2nd house. What am I saying? Cancer in the 2nd house, and that is basically that is representative of his mother. And when we have Cancer in the 2nd house, we have finances might be up and down. Cancer is ruled by the moon. 2nd house is the house of savings, is the house of long-term gains, long-term wealth, things like that. So it's like inheritance and things like that. And that can be wishy-washy. His dad might say, you know what, you're not getting an inheritance. One day he might say that, the other day he might not. So this is again a water sign, and due to his drug use and things like that, his savings could be going up and down. He doesn't have really consistent savings, so that's something to be aware of. As well as a very inconsistent family life. If you joined me yesterday, you'll have seen that he lost his mother at a very young age. So that's very key, important information to be aware of. And there's a lot of rumors about that, what Joe Biden was wanting, and his new wife and things like that. So you have to be aware of those things as well. But that's more pertaining to his father. So then we have Leo in the 5th house with Ketu here. So Ketu in Leo in the 5th house, in the 3rd house, kind of gives him an absent-minded courage. He can act like this is what he's good at, like being very, very courageous, very alpha male type, very leadership. He has leadership qualities, things like that. Leo is leadership, authority, things like that. And Ketu is, 3rd house is like siblings. It's the house of your courage. It's the house of your communication. So yeah, essentially, he can be very careless and thoughtless with his communication. He can, go off the handle and, do something that he regrets in terms of communication and in terms of abusing authority. Because K2 is all about, thoughtless, headless, things like that, acts of things like that. So then we have Virgo in the 4th house. Now we have, so this house is empty. Now Virgo in the 4th house, we know that his parents, his father, was mainly preoccupied with government service, being a politician. Now that, you might think that that's 5th house stuff, and you'd be right to think that it is, but there's also this element of Virgo that plays into it, where his home life is very much in the public. 6th house is the opposite to the 12th house. 12th house is all about seclusion and being away from people. So that's Pisces. So Virgo is the opposite to that. It's about being in the public, being of service, being doing things like that. So this is all very important stuff to know, because yeah, I mean, his family was and is in the public eye. And then we have Libra in the 5th house with Jupiter. Jupiter and Libra in the 5th house. So, what does this say? It says he likes to have fun. The Jupiter here in the 5th house, he gets a satisfaction out of being an authority. Jupiter is the guru, the teacher, the mentor, so there might be an element of learning things, but and also Libra is law. Libra is, this is what makes him an attorney, is his love for learning about the law. We can see Jupiter is learning, Libra is law in the 5th house of education. So, ta-da, this is why we get this. So, yeah. And then we have, in the 6th house, we have Scorpio. So, Scorpio in the 6th house, essentially, this is not that great. It's kind of like that 8-6 relationship where we have the 8th house, or the 8th sign in the 6th house. And so that can give you ups and downs in health. It can provide health challenges, things like that. And so he can this is one of the placements where you have to be careful with drug use, because Scorpio is very much about drug use, and 6th house is the house of your body, your diet, your intake. So crack for breakfast of champions. So that's what he has to contend with here, is this desire and compulsion to use drugs. And let's see here. So so there's that. It's not fun. So anyway, and in the 7th house we have Mercury in Sagittarius in the 7th house. So this is about, Mercury is his mind, and his mind is his intellect is very preoccupied with law as it applies to other people. Like this is the house of partnerships. This is a house of not only marriage, but also partnerships, business partnerships, business relations, anyone who you do business with. So he's using that Jupiter in the 7th house, that knowledge of the law, and he's taking it to the 9th house, he's taking Jupiter in Libra in the 5th house to the Mercury in Sagittarius in the 7th house. So essentially he's applying that knowledge to other people. He is this combination can give you the idea of blackmail. Yeah, so, blackmailing his business partners, things like that. So yeah, that's just what I get from this. And then on top of that, we have Venus, Sun, and Moon in Capricorn in the 8th house. So this gives him a bit of a, bit of a, a hard time here, because with so many planets in the 8th house, you have a bunch of ups and downs to contend with. When he was, I think, 2 years old or something like that, he lost his mother. He also lost his sister. So Moon and Venus, mother and sister, would be there. But also we can see the loss of the brother. We see Mars in Pisces. We see Mercury, we see the Sun in the 8th house. So with the Sun, we can see that is indicative of his brother. We see that, and also Ketu in the 3rd house in Leo. You see the Sun rules over the 3rd house, which is the house of siblings, and Ketu is there, so we know he loses siblings. He's lost his siblings. He's and then we have, so yeah, not only that, but this also drives him to, take part in those Rahu things. So yeah, we have loss of Venus, losing his sister, losing his mother, his Moon, and then his son, his siblings, his brother too, Beau Biden. He lost him too, later in life, but it just shows. So this is the power of astrology, guys. This is how we can see what happens in a person's life, or how we can, what I like to do is I go back and justify the events through astrology. So the loss of his brother, that Ketu in Leo in the 3rd house, with Sun in the 8th, that makes a lot of sense. And then we have Rahu in Aquarius in the 9th house. So Rahu is all about addictions. It's all about excess, indulgence, things like that. It's all about having, compulsively doing things, compulsively eating, because what is Rahu? Rahu is the head of the demon. It's not like the demon in Christianity. We've gone over this in past videos. Rahu is a earth entity, or earth deity, or entity rather. But Rahu, basically, he's a head without a neck. So the south node of the moon, Ketu, would be the body. He has no body. He's just a head floating. So when he has these cravings, it's just, think about the brain. Think about the brain without a nervous system. or the brain without a body, let's say. He has these impulses, these cravings, these desires. So he eats and eats and eats, yet he can never feel satiated or full because he doesn't have a stomach to feel satiated or full. Everything just falls out of his neck. So that's what Rahu is. It's endless consumption. Acting impulsively. We can see that Aquarius is all about high technology, laptop, cell phone, laptops and smartphones. I mean, it's pretty clear here what's going on. Rahu is the prince of the world. He doesn't care what it takes to get him whatever he wants. He'll just go after it, and damn the consequences. He'll deal with those later. So that's pretty much what Rahu does. And then we have not only that, but we have Aquarius here. So high technology, friends, network circles, business organizations, non-governmental organizations, humanitarian organizations, things like that. So yeah, and then we have not only that, we have Mars in the 12th, in Pisces in the 10th house. So Mars in the 10th house gives one a passion for their career. It makes them strive hard and work hard to achieve that, and to even get the education that they need. So Mars is aspecting his 5th house, Mars is aspecting his 1st house, and it's aspecting his 4th house and 5th house. So there we go. So we have that directional strength from Mars on his 5th house to actually learn things, and we can see his Jupiter in his 5th and Rahu in the 9th. 9th house is higher learning. 9th house is, higher education, teachers, professors, things like that. So it's really, really good. Hold on, guys. So anyway, yeah, it's, yeah. Yep, recording. So we have Mars here in the 12th house. So Mars in Pisces especially is involved in, kind of Pisces is actually kind of, it's one of those more out there kind of signs. It wants to get away from the world. It wants to distance itself from the world. It wants to be secluded. It wants to be private. It wants to, let's see here. So regarding that, it rules its, so as far as what it rules the 11th house, and it rules the 6th house. So Mars in that, in Pisces in the 10th house, it does give him quite a strong desire for a career and reputation and status. However, there's also this pull to be kind of private. So Pisces also represents drug use. Pisces is, shrooms, hallucinogenics, things like that. So, yeah, it's representative and indicative of someone who wants to just get away from the world and just be by themselves. So, we've kind of seen this. let's see. So the 10th house is typically the house of one's reputation and their status in life and how people see them in public. So we can see this, very. I see Hunter Biden as very aggressive, as very, just that Pisces energy that he's well known as being a crackhead. So I don't think that's a shock to anybody. So that's that Pisces energy. And then let's actually analyze the Aruda Lagna. Okay, so we have he's Gemini ascendant, and Mercury is in his 7th house. So 7th from Mercury would be Gemini, and the Aruda Lagna for Gemini would be in the 10th house, which is actually the Mars in Pisces in the 10th house. So that's basically what his what his thing in the world is, his projection in the world is. So, and then we have Saturn in Aries in the 11th house. So Saturn in Aries, this actually, this can make somebody very it can make somebody extremely like wanting to fight for the law. So Saturn is law, it is discipline, it is organization, it's structure. And then we have this Aries energy here, so it's essentially plus its 2nd house from Mars. So essentially it is all about, it's kind of hard energy, because a lot of times people think that, Saturn in Mars or Saturn in Aries is essentially two opposing energies. However, they can go together. I will say that his Saturn is not in a great place, but because it's kind of stifling the self. So in anyone's chart, Aries is where they find themselves, and his is in large organizations, large networks, things like that. And so we have this Saturn, which is law. So basically an organization involved in law and things like that. So, and then we have Taurus in the 12th house. So this can mean, Taurus is all about finances. It's all about income long-term gains, long-term income and things like that. So it can show international business dealings, international income from various places around the globe, which who got it. What just happened with Burisma, that was, he made money from foreign places. This is what this is saying, is it's making money from foreign places, things like that. So even though he's in quote supposed to be an American lawyer, he makes business dealings and things like that from foreign places. So that's pretty much the chart in a nutshell, guys. So yeah, I pretty much went over everything. So yeah, I think that's about all I got for this chart. It is, it has been a while since I've done astrology stuff, so I'm just kind of getting back into it and used to it, so I appreciate you guys watching, and let me see if I have any comments or questions or conundrums or concerns. I'd be happy to answer any questions or comments at this time. Any questions about his chart or anything like that, so yeah. I will give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and ask those questions, and yeah, so that's pretty much what I got for today, so I'm pretty much done. Alrighty guys, well, if there are no comments, I will just go ahead and promote my stuff here. Go ahead and bring this back. So I do have a bunch of services to offer. I have my Vedic astrology book, this side. My Vedic astrology book called Tantric Secrets of Vedic Astrology. You can check that out on my website, GabboTheShaman.com, right down here. And so that's my book. And then we have a bunch of courses, products, services, everything that I have to offer. And that is, I have my Qigong courses. I have a course that basically incorporates Kundalini Yoga and Qigong. So those energy practices, when you put them together, they synergize and make something greater than the sum of the two. And then we have the astrology certification course. So that is essentially my course where I offer astrology certification. And when you join that course, you'll get everything that, you'll get your own website and things like that. An exam. So pass the certification exam and you'll get all that. And then we have the astrology readings. So I've been doing astrology readings for quite a few years now. So if you're interested in getting one of those, I would highly recommend getting them from me, because I do a certain unique style of astrology that basically nobody else really does. So you'd have to go to my teacher or his students to get that kind of astrology. And then we have the birth time rectification. So if you don't know what your time of birth is, then I would highly recommend you get a birth time rectification from me. That will ensure that you get the most accurate birth time reading, and it's basically, I take the time to narrow your birth time down to the span of 1 minute. So I can do that usually for most cases, but yeah, there's some that are a little bit more challenging. And it's better if you have like a time window for me, like a few hours rather than the full day. Figuring out the full day chart is pretty daunting, and because you have a lot of options, a lot of things going wrong, a lot of calculation for mistakes and things like that. So yeah. And then we have the rune readings. So if you're interested in those, you can check them out. Learn more on my website here, GabboTheShaman.com. And I offer career coaching, life coaching, trauma healing course, distance energy healing sessions with me, and things like that. So you can check those out on my website, GabboTheShaman.com. Alright guys, well, that's it from me. Until next time. We will talk to you next time. Take care, guys.